Professor Khodade in channel Life Sciences Studies. We have studied our lecture first. Now we are moving to the lecture number second, which is Amino Acid Studies Part 2. So friends, in first lecture we studied about structure of 20 different amino acids. I have provided the link for first lecture in description. Please check it. I will request you to first check out the first lecture so you will get better understanding about the current lecture. In that lecture we have seen that the chiral carbon is surrounded by 4 different groups, where the R group plays an important role for creating an identity of that particular amino acid. In this lecture we are going to see further about linking of different amino acids, how they link together covalently especially. So without wasting too much time, let's begin our lecture. Friends, I am adding something important here. In many reference books, stick structure of amino acid is represented in color fashion, where in this picture hydrogen atom do not contain any color, where blue color indicates presence of nitrogen, red color is for oxygen, and the presence of chiral carbon is always shown in green color. After studying each amino acid at their individual level, we will see in detail about linking or linkage between two different amino acids. That linkage, as shown in this figure, is represented or known as a peptide bond. As you know, amino acids are building blocks for proteins. What is a meaning of building block? If you imagine the wall is made up of bricks, so the bricks are nothing but a building block for that wall. Likewise, amino acids are building blocks for protein. Different amino acids come together and they form a protein. In last lecture we have seen that amino acid occurs in L form and D form in nature, but only L form are selected for protein synthesis. How can we identify whether amino acid is in L form or D form? If the amino group is present at the left side of the chiral carbon, then that amino acid is in L form. So we are talking about the peptide bond formation. In this given figure, there are two amino acids are located side by side to each other. Each amino acid contain amino group, carboxylic group, hydrogen atom and R chain. Here the R chain is represented as R1 and R2 for two different amino acids, because we are focusing on peptide bond only. Here you can see that the OH group from carboxylic group and hydrogen atom from amino group are removed in the form of water molecule. As you already know that H plus and OH minus comes together to form H2O, that is nothing but water molecule, and removal of this water molecule will result into formation of a peptide bond between carboxylic group and amino group of two different amino acids. The carboxylic group of first amino acid and amino group of second amino acid are involved in this process, as the removal of water molecule is also known as dehydration. So the dehydration reaction is responsible for formation of peptide bond in this case. So always remember this, whenever water molecule get removed, then there is a dehydration reaction and which result into the bond formation, and whenever you add water molecule into the bond, then that bond get destructed, and that reaction is also known as hydrolysis reaction. These are the two different reactions opposite to each other based on water molecule addition or water molecule removal. So in this case we have joined two different amino acids by removing water molecule, and here the result of formation of peptide bond between two amino acids. Here you can see that two amino acids and one peptide bond is there. That's why these all structures are known as dipeptide. Likewise, when three different amino acids are connected with the help of two peptide bonds, then that overall structure is known as a tripeptide same as dipeptide and tripeptide. If you add many amino acids and link them with the help of peptide bonds, then automatically it is known as a polypeptide chain. The chain which contain different amino acids which are interconnected by peptide bond. And remember, for formation of every peptide bond, removal of water molecule is important. In any case, whether it is dipeptide, tripeptide or polypeptide, we will always have an amino group at the left side of the structure and carboxylic group at the right side of the structure. The left side is known as N terminus and right side or the end is known as C terminus. Why this happens? Because the carboxylic group from first amino acid linked with amino group of second amino acid. So automatically at the left side amino group remains free and at the right side or at the end of the polypeptide carboxylic group remain free. Here something which is important to remember, that instead of writing every time amino group at the left side and carboxylic group at the right side in every amino acid sequence of protein, because we know every amino acid shows some common structure and they all differs on the basis of R group only. So if you know the R group differences, you can easily identify that amino acid. So as given in this diagram, that amino acid always contain amino group at the left side and carboxylic group at the right side. We need not to write in this fashion, because amino acids have triple letter code format and single letter code format. So instead of writing this diagram, you can write protein sequence or chain of amino acid in triple letter format, or directly you can write in single letter format. If you check bioinformatic websites and if you search for any particular protein sequence, you will find all proteins are indicated for their sequences in this fashion only. It is universally accepted and commonly used practice in every laboratory. Every protein sequence shows presence of two covalent bonds only. Out of two covalent bonds, already we have discussed one covalent bond, which was a peptide bond. So which one is next covalent bond? The following bond, which is a SS bond or disulphide bond, is known as another covalent bond which is present in protein. So I would like to ask you one question from our last lecture. Which of the 20 amino acids contain only a sulfur atom in their side chain? Yes, there are only two amino acids. Methionine and cysteine are the two amino acids who contain sulfur in their side chain. So these sulfurs are involved in formation of disulphide bond in protein's amino acid chain. Considering the following example, in the following figure, it is shown that presence of cysteine amino acid in this given polypeptide chain. The cysteines are those amino acids who contain sulfur in their side chain. So when a polypeptide who contain many cysteine residues, suppose in this diagram there are two cysteine residues are there, this peptide will bend itself to form sulfide or disulfide bond between two cysteine amino acids. So it creates a conformational change in a polypeptide. It will no longer remain linear, it bends itself. So this is very important concept, how protein gets shape. So the shape is a result of different interactions between different amino acids in a protein. There may be a chance that cysteine amino acid from one polypeptide will form disulfide bond with cysteine amino acid from another polypeptide. So in this case, two different polypeptides can be interconnected with the help of disulphide bond. In this figure, I have shown intrapeptide and interpeptide disulphide bond at the same time. If you take that protein in a test tube and treat it with the beta-mercaptoethanol along with the urea, you will find that proteins disulfide bonds are broken and that protein is in a linear polypeptide chain format. Why? Because beta-mercaptoethanol is a reducing agent where urea helps for straightening or making it in linear format. If you remove that reagent beta-mercaptoethanol and urea from the test tube, you will find that that protein will again create disulfide bond and will show the same conformation as previous. Curly hair contain many disulfide linkages and can be broken to make them a straight hair, as we have seen the concept of breaking disulfide linkages as shown in this photograph and is applicable worldwide. After studying a lot about covalent bonds in peptide, let's see an example which represents those bonds. Here in the given image, insulin is shown. Insulin is known for everyone because of diabetes, which is worldwide known disorder, which contain two peptide chains, and you can clearly see that one peptide chain is called as A and another one is called as B. Two peptide chains contain chain of amino acids, and both of these peptide chains are interconnected by the help of disulfide linkages. So friends, after studying linkages in amino acid, those are covalent bonds. First one was peptide bond between amino group and carboxylic group, and another one was disulfide bond between cysteine and cysteine amino acid. We are moving forward to the properties of an amino acids. These properties are varies on the basis of side chain which is present in an amino acid. All amino acids are differs from each other on the basis of their side chain. So obviously the properties are dependent on the side chain. If you make an index, the first point in properties of amino acid is the size and shape of amino acid. So I would like to ask you one question regarding size. Can you tell me which amino acid was the bulkiest or longest or biggest among 20 different amino acid? You can find link for first lecture in description. So please check from there. The next property of amino acid is charge of amino acid. Already we have seen there are positively charged and negatively charged amino acid out of 20 amino acids. So we are going to study them in detail. So here we are only making an index. Then third point, that is a polarity of an amino acid. This polarity affects on overall conformation of protein because it indicates whether the particular amino acid can able to create hydrogen bond among themselves or along with the solvent. The fourth property of amino acid is hydrophobicity of particular amino acid. Hydrophobicity means something which amino acid tendency to remain away from the solvent. So automatically those amino acids gets their position within protein. So these polarity, hydrophobicity are responsible for creation of protein's particular structure. Next property of amino acid, that is aromaticity of particular amino acid. Already we have seen three aromatic amino acids. So these aromatic amino acids are an indication of presence of protein in particular solvent by using 280 nanometer light. So this property is useful for us to determine the proteins in solvent. And last important property, that is a conformation of any amino acid. These conformations are divided or can be studied into 2 points, that is formation of a dihedral angle and adoption of particular shape by those amino acids. So all these 6 properties of amino acid will be the topic of our discussion. Hey friends, the second lecture is not over yet. The remaining part will be continued in third lecture. After we have seen in the second lecture about 2 covalent bonds, peptide and disulphide linkages, and we have listed 6 different properties in amino acids. Those properties are the topic of discussion in next lecture, which is lengthy and important in order to understand biochemistry thoroughly. I request you to share this video among your friends so knowledge will spread across the students, which is beneficial for other students. I would request you to subscribe this channel, and if you really enjoy this video, please like the video. And if you have any query or question, don't forget to comment in comment section. So automatically it will help me to improve our videos and for understanding of other students also. Thank you for your time for watching this video. Thank you very much. We will soon meet in next video